Hi, everybody. Bob Owens at Bismarck High School talking Bismarck wrestling with co-coaches Mark Lardy and Jeff Schumacher. Guys, we're going to take and highlight state competition coming up. I got to get excited about that, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's been a long time coming. It's been a long year in a lot of sense. So we are excited to get to this postseason.
You know what? You always look forward to the end of the year. We've been training hard. We've been training long. What do we have? 12 matches in, 12 compared to 55 probably for a lot of the kids. So yeah, we're getting excited about the end of the year right now.
And it's been an adverse year. There's no question with the virus and everything, but I'm just thrilled to death we got through it. When we first started, we had some apprehensions of getting shut down. We had some apprehensions of, boy, we're not going to be able to do it. Well, credit everybody making it all happen. Credit everybody for kind of persevering and living and learning as we go. But all I can tell you is that this is one fine team you're going to put on that wrestling mat at state tournament time. And let's take a minute and let's just highlight those kids that are going. So let's start. You want to start with the youngest or the oldest? Let's start with the seniors.
Seniors, well, we'll start with Juan Flores. Boy, I'll tell you, talk about a worker. You know, he can work for me anytime he wants when he's done wrestling. That guy is amazing, extremely hard worker, and he's come a long way. He sure is wrestling well. We're excited for him to get in the state tournament. And see how he can do. What's nice about, Juan is he just kind of comes in and just kind of lets it fly, and he just wants to see how well he can do.
You know what I've said about Juan Flores? He's the only guy that's not really talked about in the seeding or talked about in the ratings, but nobody wants to wrestle him. Because I'll tell you what, he brings it all, and it's for the entire match. The one time he got tossed and was back by 5. By the end of that 6-minute period, I'll tell you what, he had a shot at winning it. That's the attitude he had coming back. So he's going to be one of those kids that come into the state tournament and could be guns loaded and just upset everybody. And then they sit back and go, well, where did he come from?
Yeah.
That type of thing.
He's a quiet workhorse is what I would describe Juan as. He's a quiet kid, but he sure works his tail off when he comes in that room. It's all about business.
All right, well, you guys go ahead and pick them out, and we'll talk about them.
I'll pick the next one. Let's talk a bit about Parker Benz. Parker Benz has had a few pieces of adversity thrown at him this year. He started out fairly hot, and then he tweaked his shoulder. But there's another kid who is just, when you talk about natural ability, Parker Benz is one of those kids that if he would have had a couple more years of experience, and been able to stay healthy for a couple more years, I think Parker would have been really pushing to be like possibly 1 or 2 time state champion. And he is just a great kid to have in the room, naturally gifted. When it comes some of the things that you watch him do in the room, you're like, holy cow, that was impressive. And just a great kid. So yeah, Parker Benz.
With Parker, we're just working on his confidence.
Yes.
You know what? He's believing in himself because we believe in him. He just has to believe in himself. He is good. He is really good. He's got some great stuff. So he's been doing great. We follow up with Brad Cringley. He's really one of our captains.
Yeah.
He sure is a great leader. The guy that, here's a guy that just does everything right.
I call him Steady Eddie. That's what I call him.
Yeah, he just makes everybody on the team feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
He reaches down and helps the 7th graders, 8th graders, 9th graders. I've never seen the guy, edgy amongst the younger kids and that stuff. He always reaches down, helps them out, picks them on his team for if we're playing football or something like that. He'll pick an 8th grader, the first pick.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that guy feels like he's part of the team.
Yeah, and he brings, he seems to just lavish in the pressure of what has to be accomplished and just thrill to death of accomplishing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a kid that, when Isaiah Hoos was a little bit beat up and not back in the lineup, we asked him to bump to 195 a number of times, and it was he never questioned it. He stepped up, and he did it, and he did it well. And he's just a solid leader, solid kid.
Yeah.
Beyond wrestling, he's going to be a kid that's going to be extremely successful in life.
That's for sure. And you know what? He's recruitable.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, he's recruitable. Yeah. He is as tough as you're going to find.
And I think he's the kind of kid who's only going to get better and better. I mean, he's just that kind of attitude,
sharp,
without a question.
Sharp.
So that brings you to thunder and lightning, as I call him, because I am just flabbergasted by the quickness of these two young gentlemen. When they take to the mat, how many times have you seen either one of them heel pick somebody and they can't even do anything but sit on their butt because they just got caught off guard? The quickness is just phenomenal.
Boy, they've picked up the sport quickly, and they've examined the sport. They've picked it up fast. But they've trained extremely hard, and so they just keep training. I would say that the only time I never really seen him on the mat was probably September this year. It was the first time, and otherwise they were pretty much training 11 months, kind of around the clock. Just kept coming in and kept wrestling and kept practicing and kept calling for partners.
And they're good for each other.
Yeah.
Being twins, it's nice to have a great sparring partner that's similar, but at the same time, they work together so well. I watched them practice tonight even. If one is not completing it just right, the other one will tell them and say, nah, maybe, that type of deal. So the camaraderie of that group, not always seen in brothers. There are brothers who probably don't get along as well. But I tell you what, these two are just special. You're special to be a Division I recruit to start with, and both of those guys are rated number 1 in the state. They're both going for a 3rd state title.
Yep.
Boy, that's a feather in the old hat right there. You look at that, and I just wish them the best. That's all I can say.
Yes, they're two phenomenal athletes, two phenomenal students, and just great people. It's a complete package, those two. Michigan should be extremely excited about what they're getting, and their ceiling is still high. So it's gonna be fun to watch them continue to develop at the next level, and we're excited for that piece. But we got one tournament here yet to finish with them, and we're looking for them to bring home that 3rd title. That's for sure.
So those seniors are going to be when we look at potential. We have how many state champs in that group? We got 1, 2. You got 3 state champs in there. Is that
yes.
correct?
Yep. 3 state
so they're
champs
returning
right
state champs in
Yep.
that situation. They're looking for the multiple scenario without a question, whether it's 3, 2, or whatever. But they bring a caliber of leadership that has, in a tough year, not the easiest thing to do. What I liked about watching those kids too is that because of the lack of matches, you've had a lot of exhibition, what I call free-for-all circus matches. You got 3 matches going, or who wants to wrestle who? I've never seen anybody not say, well, I don't want to wrestle. They've all stepped up. An example, when Hughes wrestled the multi-state placer from Dickinson.
Yes.
And we're talking about a guy coming off surgery, a month before or so? So probably was at a little bit at risk, but I credit Isaiah. Went out and did the job. His physical tools still amaze me, and that kind of is a good thing. I look forward to seeing where that does go to. So, all right, so that is that senior group. So let's move to the juniors, who are pretty salty also.
So you're talking about Isaiah. We have a real good punch coming from our junior group too. It's especially our big weights. I mean, we lose Brand.
Yeah.
And we're hoping and we feel we're going to be able to fill in with Ben Nagle. So Ben Nagle will be going to state as an alternate for us this year, but let me tell you, he's going to threaten. He could be right there with the rest of the finalists.
Yeah.
He really could be. That's how good Ben is.
Well, in our previous talk with the assistant coaches, the one thing that we had brought up was the circumstances where Bismarck, who always been consistently strong in the lower weights, more than adequate through the middle, but tended to just falter out. That's all changing for you guys, because some of these freshman kids are going to grow up to be big people.
Yes.
And, LJ, defending state champ at 106, moves to 126. What if I told you if he went to 152 next year, it wouldn't surprise me a bit?
No.
No, you're exactly right.
No, so like Isaiah Hoos, he brings a lot to the table. He's strong kid. Just need to continue to refine some of those technique tools, but with the limited time that he had on the mat this year, he's so dangerous still. It'll be fun to watch him compete at state again this year.
Yeah, he's, extremely strong on top. Extremely strong on top. And then
He's the only guy I saw this year that put on a cradle and didn't lock it, but the arms didn't move. Yeah, you don't see that very often when you're taking legs and arms together, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with those other
Big
juniors.
boy.
Okay. Let's Braden Moran. He's our big boy this year. He's doing well. He's battling. He's learning. He's still learning the idea of heavyweight, and he's got some great tutelage in the room with Coach Owens and Coach Moses, bringing him along. We're looking for good things from Braden, that's for sure.
The heavyweight class this year, with the exception of a couple of kids, is one of those deals where it's a toss-up. I mean, somebody puts together a good tournament, they can be in the running and not be talked about previous to the tournament, but they'd be talked about at the end of the tournament.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
He could get on a run. Braden sure can. He showed some sparkles of good wrestling and that stuff, and so it wouldn't surprise us if he starts coming around. Then we have Noah Savageau, and Noah is a junior national All-American for us, or I should say cadet national All-American for us and that stuff, and Noah can wrestle. He'll be down at 106 and that stuff, and he can wrestle. He's a returning state place winner for us.
Yeah.
He's got, he's got a lot more than sometimes he even shows out there. The guy's got some great moves on both sides of the legs and that stuff, and so hopefully he's ready to go.
Yep.
And you're loaded at 106 when
Yes.
you look at Ben. Although Ben is rated 5th and Savageau 6th, I think they're going to both place higher than that myself, to be quite honest with you.
This year, the rankings, I don't think there's a whole lot of stock that we can put in some of those because just the limited match time that we've had, I don't think we've seen enough of the state to put a lot of stock in this seating. I would put my money on our two guys for sure to be both in the top 4. That would be a pretty safe assumption for those two. Noah, for him, his biggest thing, he needs to step on that mat with confidence. If he steps on the mat with confidence and goes on the offensive, great things are going to happen for him this state tournament.
That's for sure.
So of the juniors returning, when we look at state placers and state champs, what we got, coaches?
Well, then we go into, Brock Fettig. We have
Yep.
Brock and Ben and Caden, but Brock is, he's gotten bigger every year. He's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And let me tell you, he's gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. He's a full package. Brock is moving forward. He's I'm telling you, he's climbing fast.
Yeah.
There's going to be some college coaches definitely looking at Brock.
And Mark, you talked
And
about
big time ones.
moving up and down in the lineup. He's done that
Yeah.
and responded very well to that too.
Absolutely. Yeah, Brock is definitely a complete package. Another one of those kids that, for the whole team, I would say. It's a shame that we didn't get the rest of our normal season because this would have been a really fun team to take places. But Brock is just a great kid, great asset to have on the team, and we're looking for for good things for him at that state tournament. Next up, let's talk just about Ben Nagle a little bit. Ben Nagle a little bit more. Ben is coming as an alternate. However, he's a returning state place winner, and he's another kid that he's gonna be pushing right there in that whatever weight class we end up throwing him in. He's definitely going to be a top four candidate wherever we throw him. I'm confident of that.
I am too.
There's another case in the wrestling room right there. He's faced the toughest matches.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
That competition in there is incredible.
Yeah,
Well, the four up top, when you look at 60, 70, 82, and 95, we have a state runner-up, a state runner-up, a state champion, and a state champion.
yeah,
I mean, that's what's up there.
Yeah.
And then plus a fourth placer
Yeah.
in them four weight classes. And so it's a heck of a group that we have there. We follow that up with Caden Renner, and Caden's wrestling well. Another guy, getting big and that stuff. It's interesting because this summer Brock and Caden did a lot of wrestling in that, and so they wanted to get big and they wanted to wrestle 60 and 70, and right now, Brock's weighing out at 65,
Right.
and Renner's weighing out at 55 almost. I mean, they're light. They're really light. And before, when they were at 106, they were both cutting real hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were cutting real hard for 32 and 38, and now they're not at all.
Yeah.
So now it's their time, and boy, they've made huge strides, and Caden sure has made some huge strides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He's
Caden's
getting
had some
strong.
great matches, and he's in a weight class that has some really good competition, and I think he's really shined through that competition.
Yes, I do too.
And what he's shined at for me that really sticks out is his ability to get the takedown, and then his ability to ride people. He really has done an excellent job in developing those. And he may look like he's in trouble, but he's really not.
yeah.
He just seems to be really in charge.
Yep. It's interesting, too. He's a rider, too, which is his dad wasn't a rider. He was a takedown expert.
He's a kid that's definitely hungry. He puts in the time. He's put in the time since, I've talked to the kids about positive energy or positive things that feed you and negative things that feed you. And I would say for Brock and Caden, their loss in the finals definitely fueled them throughout the summer, throughout the entire off season to keep pushing through, getting those extra workouts in the summer, and just really dedicating themselves even more fully to the sport that they were already dedicated to this past year. And the benefits are definitely paying off. He's definitely hungry, and I think he's peaking at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
If we moved into the sophomores, Tate Olsen we'll talk about first. Tate Olsen is just I don't want to say a sneaky sort of wrestler, but he's a wrestler who I don't know that Tate realizes his potential yet as a wrestler. Tate is going to do some damage. He's got 2 years left with us, and I'm looking for good things for the state tournament out of Tate. But also, as we look forward to the next 2 years with Tate, I'm just excited to see what Tate can bring with us.
Doing a good job. He's doing a real good job for us at 145 right now. And he can wrestle. He can wrestle with anybody.
Yep.
He gets on top. If he gets his hands locked, he's got a good cradle, and he can turn with just about anybody. So we
And
just need to get a takedown.
And even the matches that he has lost this year have all been close matches.
Yep.
He has not been really dominated in any way, shape, or form. So, you put together a great tournament, call the cops. You can be right there.
That's right.
For sure.
That's right.
Next up, Ethan Stewart. Ethan Stewart is battling through some health stuff right now, but we're excited for things for Ethan as well. Just a kid that has been working in the room, continues to improve. Again, he's another one of those big guys that has been working with Owens and Tamale, and good things are going to continue to happen to Stewart when he continues to work hard.
Yep. Good kid. He's got a lot of ability.
Yeah.
And we feel strong about him. I think this summer he's just going to get just bigger and stronger, and he is already a strong athlete.
See, I think he hasn't had what we call a maturation muscle kick yet. I think when that comes, I think that coordination, the one thing he does have a little bit thing to work on is his overall balance. He doesn't keep his hips in the right spot all the time, and sometimes he gets caught, but as that maturation kicks in and that power, it's only going to be better for him. And next year, there's a world of difference between a sophomore and a junior, just as they develop.
That's for sure. Isaac Peterson is our guy at 52 right now, and he's doing a really nice job for us. Isaac's a tough kid. He's really strong on his on top. And that's where we like to have him. But Isaac is, he's a strong competitor. He's a good kid. He's a good student in school. Yeah. He's just a fantastic kid. After practice, he's there doing pull-ups. He's trying to do a little bit extra all the time. And so we're really excited for Isaac and that stuff. I think he's going to be a state place winner for us.
Yes, for sure. And the one thing you don't have to ask Isaac Peterson to work harder, because he is definitely busting his tail when he's in that room. So
that's a good standard.
Yes, I think that takes care of our sophomore class.
Yep.
Next up are the freshmen. LJ. LJ is a special athlete. He's going to be one that is extremely fun to watch the next 3 years. He's already got one state title under his belt. We're looking for another one this year. He's just one of those guys that I don't know who I was talking to, but I was talking last weekend with somebody, and he's one of those kids that if you didn't know him and you were one of his competitors and you were looking across the gym at him, you'd think, I'm going to kick this kid's tail. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to whoop him. And then you step on the mat with him, and you find out a completely different story, because he is, when he gets out there, he's all over you. Yeah. He's in control the whole time. Even when you think that he is looking like he's out of control, I would say that he is in control. He is just
He is the finest rider on that team as far as I'm concerned. He's just phenomenal.
Yes.
And he controls you and takes what you think you're going to score with. He just takes it away from you.
Yes.
He really must study his opponents, or he learns really quickly what needs to happen, because he adjusts so well. And then if you make a cardinal mistake and tip a little bit to the side too far, he brings in that brutal half off those legs, and you're on your back talking to yourself again too.
Yep. Yeah, he's got a ton of ability, and he brings it too. And I really think he enjoys the competition.
Yeah.
He's just like one of them guys. You're right. I mean, you look at him, and then you go out and you wrestle him, and it's a whole different avenue there that you're not even thinking is going to happen.
Right.
So then we fall into Ben Deforest, and obviously Ben's doing
Well, I don't want to say anything, but you got one alternate that's a freshman too.
Yeah, I know that.
So.
I thought, I was listening, and them guys we're going to end up probably having two. Bridger, not only Bridger, but Bridger is doing a great job for us. He'd be the state place winner already.
Oh yeah.
And so Bridger's amazing. But yeah, I still think that on Bridger's whole deal is we got to pump him up on confidence a little bit too, because he is good.
Yeah.
Bridger's going to do some good things for us next weekend. He's as tough as you're ever going to find. He's got his dad's sense of I never give up.
I think that
he's not going to give up.
Well, I think the one thing that he's looking forward to is the big stage, and I think that might be the surprise. So,
That's awesome.
I think he probably rallies himself, and you guys know it as well. As there are wrestlers that go into the state tournament with expectations, but they try to live up to them, and they kind of fall asleep at the switch during that state tournament, and you see, what happened to this guy or what happened to that guy. You've all seen it. We've all seen it. Then you have kids that come in there who wrestle that got nothing to lose because they're not expected to do so great, and all of a sudden they just knock off the number one wrestler, or they just knocked off number three. Those are the kind of kids that come in there, and the guy who was number three or number one sitting there shaking his head and going, where did he come from? Who is that? You know, that's the kind of attitude that those younger kids can come into without that circumstance. But the one I want to talk about is my favorite wrestler that I can only tell you is the 8th grader, Ben Deforest. Now, let me tell you why I just love it. Everybody knows that Ben's going to go out and shoot a single leg. There's no mystery. And everybody knows that Ben's going to put on a cradle. There's no mystery. But tell me who stopped him. Because I'll tell you what, he shoots one of the finest single legs I have ever seen. And even when you think his penetration isn't exactly right, boy, he double steps it inside. He brings it back through. He goes to the double. He does whatever. When he sets the cradle, he's got such confidence in that cradle, it doesn't matter where he's at, where it's coming from. It's just like, wow, you know. So having that in an 8th grader with that kind of a confidence level is over the top impressive.
Boy, he is an athlete too. I mean, he's not only an athlete, but he's got a great amount of knowledge for wrestling too. And so, yeah, and he brings it. He brings it. You know, I mean, you don't have to wait and wait 2 minutes into the match and say, hey, when are we going to shoot?
Yeah.
He's going to take 4 or 5 of them in the first period.
Yeah.
So he's coming. He's bringing it. So
He brings such confidence. You know, some of these, you can bring an 8th grader into the room, and we were talking with the JV coaches were mentioning some of the kids that they just lack a little bit of confidence. But Ben, when he steps on the mat, he is so confident, and he just he brings it 100%. And he's just a phenomenal kid on the mat, off the mat. He is another one of those complete packages. We're going to back up. Let's talk 2 other freshmen that I just want to mention that will be with us on the trip to Fargo. And those would be Tyrus Jangula and Aiden Schlafman. So Tyrus is a kid that he was kind of looking for his niche this year. We are going to be bringing him along to the tournament. And he's just one of those kids that he may not have the spotlight this year on him, but he's one of those kids that in the future he's definitely going to be a huge part of this program.
Real hard-nosed kid, and really, you know, I've watched him play football. He's just an excellent football player, and I think the wrestling side of it is only added to that circumstance for him. And I think as he grows, as you know, and develops, he's going to be a physical kid.
Yeah, he is. He has a lot of ability in that stuff. He put in some time this summer. He went to Sioux Falls with us for some competition, and so Tyrus is as good as you're going to find. So we think he's going to really help us this next weekend. The other one would be Aiden Schlafman, and Aiden's ready to kind of jump in there. He hasn't really wrestled any varsity and that stuff as much, I should say. He's picked up a couple matches varsity, but he's sure helping the team as of right now.
I call him prime time because he just loves that spotlight. And he has picked up 2 pins for you at 220, and I don't think you were expecting either one.
No.
And he just, his confidence level when he got his underarm series and that fireman's developed, he went from a guy looking at headlocks to, wow, I'm just in that thing, and he's gained tremendously on his feet. And he's only wrestled 3 years. We're not talking about a guy that's come from a long ways off.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. He'll bring it.
And he'll help you in that duel situation.
Yes.
Because he can be a worthy opponent. There's no question.
His intensity level, you never have to question. When he steps on that mat, he is going to be intense. He's going to be in your face, and he's going to bring everything he possibly can at you. The kitchen sink, whatever it takes. So
he's in for the fight.
So as we look at those, shall we say, our competitors for Bismarck Demon Wrestling coming to the state tournament, you got to be really proud of that whole group. I can't get over how scholastically they shine. That's another feather in that old hat for that whole program. I also think that there's a real pride factor that we were visiting with the other coaches. I think doing what you did in that room to create that atmosphere has only added to that whole circumstance of that work ethic. You talked about one word that I've never forgot from the first time, hungry. Remember that word? tell me who isn't. I don't know one. I really don't. They all want to go out and just do the best they can. And I'm looking forward to seeing them in action, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm just sitting here thinking about this team this year. I just get chills because such a special group of kids, and not just varsity. This goes all the way the middle school kids that we brought up. There was, numerous times we have 6 o'clock technique practices 2 or 3 days a week, and there were 22 kids in the room. This was not a mandatory practice. It was just something that we throw out there, and there's 22 kids in the room. So when you talk about hunger, there's so much hunger on this team, so much pride, and so much commitment. And it goes from the top to the bottom, and it's just phenomenal. You can't, it's just something else. It's just such a special group of kids.
It's a team, as far as the team deal, and that's nobody steps out of line. Because they're going to be pulled back in
Right.
by everybody.
Yeah.
And so
Got good leadership.
Not only our
Yeah. You got good
seniors,
leadership,
the other
good
ones.
peer group pressure all the way through. That's all positive. Yeah, it's a special team. I totally agree with both of you.
We felt that at time if we could have gone out to Reno, which we really wanted to, we weren't in COVID season that we're in.
Yeah.
Right now, we felt we could be a top 25 team in the nation.
Yeah.
We really felt like we could have gotten that ranking.
It would have been a fun thing to see.
Yes,
Yeah.
it really would have.
Well, with that said, I wish you the best of luck. I have enjoyed bringing this to you.
We
I think
appreciate you.
I
Yes.
thi-
We appreciate. I've heard nothing but compliments about our broadcast crew this year. People tune in on YouTube.
Yeah.
I've heard numerous comments in the hallways at school from other staff members saying, just complimenting me on the crew that we got broadcasting with us. So I appreciate the time and effort you have put into it.
Well, it's been a lot of
That's
fun.
great.
Yeah.
And when you sit back and reflect, and I know the virus is a big issue, but when you sit back and look at Bismarck Century and 1,500 hits off that thing, and not one just person is watching.
Yeah.
So think about 3,000 people and remember how we had the initial talk was to promote the sport of wrestling?
Yes.
Yeah.
The virus has done a darn good job
Yeah.
in
Sure.
that respect.
Yes.
I think the Tenafoo boys have also added a double whammy to that deal because just the caliber of kids those two guys are, men, shall we say,
Yes.
and I think that adds to that positive in the program. I think the wrestling room has just changed that whole atmosphere scenario. So I think a lot of pride and things that I compliment both you guys on in that leadership role. And I'm just looking forward to the exciting part of that state tournament. I wish you the best.
100%.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah. So are we. We're just. Let's go tomorrow.
Yes.
That's it. There you go.
Yeah.
Hungry, right?
Hungry. Absolutely.
For Bob Owens, Mark Lardy, and Jeff Schumacher, it's Bismarck Demons, #1 and out.